Hi, this is Willow, and I'm doing Grandma Sandy's open collab called Pantry Prepping and Emergency Prepping, and it's an open collab here on YouTube, and I wanted to add a conversation about it because we've been pantry preppers now for, heavily for at least 10 years, at least that, 10, 12 years. But we've always had a pantry, at least a few months worth of food in case something happened. The reason is we lived in Ontario for, several years, and there were times that you'd have a blizzard. And we always made sure to have flour, yeast, salt, things like baking powder, rolled oats, the bulk things, the dry things that you can make something out of in a pinch if you had to. And the dry items store really, really well, and they go a lot further. So we would do things like, we still do this. You watch my videos, you'll see there's curry, right? Very easy curry. I know I'm English and Scottish, and it's not, a little bit of Jewish, whatever, but it's not traditional curry. It's not real East Indian curry, but it's a mock of it, sort of, a duplicate in a way. Not, like I said, not traditional. But the reason we do that is, one, because we love cabbage, we love curry, we love our vegetables. And the one thing you can do with curry is you can take something like a cabbage, for instance. If all you had was one apple, one cabbage, and one onion, or even just a piece of an onion in your fridge, you can feed a family on that. And I'm not kidding. I'm not going to give you the recipe, but watch some of my videos and I'll show you. You can make a little gravy with it and pour over top of rice. You can serve it with meat if you want to. You can make it vegan if you want. But the fact is, you can just make it really stretch. And making dinners that stretch is kind of what tonight's dinner was all about. Tonight was the first meal of having onions and carrots that were cooked with the 2 chickens, gravy, and potatoes. Those potatoes will go into the fridge in a sealed tight container, so will the gravy. The bones are going to be put into the crock pot overnight, and chicken will be scraped from the bones, obviously, all of it. And they'll be dispersed into by little bags with a marker on it with, the date. And some will be for tomorrow, and some of the potatoes and some of the gravy for tomorrow. But the remainder will end up being, part of a soup. It'll give us so many different meals. I can use not even a quarter of a cup of chicken and, add some onions and peas and cabbage and a few other vegetables and have that stretch for, 6 people and make a meal out of next to nothing. So, and again, if you don't want to do rice, say you don't like rice, because I don't really like rice too much, you can use whipped potatoes if you have those potatoes. You can do so many things. They're very versatile. I lived on potatoes for a long time when I was pregnant with my daughter because my ex was laid off. And I would say a good 6 months had to live on potatoes. I'm sick of them, true, but, in a pinch, you can live on them. And they won't break the bank. So buying in bulk will really help you making meals ahead of time. So if you're going to put your oven on, why not put your oven on for 3 or 4 different kinds of meat and maybe some buns, some bread, tea biscuits, cookies, whatever you're going to do. If you're going to have your oven on, save money by having it on at one time and putting a ton of things in your oven all at once. You are going to save money. Another thing is, you want to save money, make your own bread. Flour, water, yeast, honey or sugar, and a little salt, and a little bit of oil. It's that easy. Or Crisco, whatever you want to put in. But you know what? Making things yourself, you will save money. And you can store that money away for a new vehicle, a home, a trip, whatever, something that you've been dying to do, or a gift or whatever. You can save so much money you know, just simply planning ahead, getting a menu together and saying, how far can I make this stretch? How many different meals can I make this stretch? And, you know, honestly, if there's a couple of people like me and Paul, even when Will comes home, I use the same amount of meat as I would use for Paul and I. Quarter cup. That's max. You know, often it's less than 3 ounces. I'll do anything I can. The other one is tuna noodle casserole. There's tuna noodle casserole will go so far, and it takes 1 tin of tuna, but if you add more cream soups into it, and you don't have to use the brand names, let's be honest, right? You know, but if you add a vegetable to it or water chestnuts or something like that, and add more noodles than you would normally add, and add just a hint more cheese, you can feed a big family on 1 tin of tuna. And I know that because my mother-in-law, Moira, made tuna noodle casserole for 9 children, her husband, and herself, and fed her children very, very well. And they all crow about their mom's cooking. Believe me, you know, you can make a lot of food for next to nothing. The other thing is, if you're having something like, I don't make roast beefs anymore. 1, it's too expensive. 2, I have colon cancer and I can't. But if you were to buy a roast, get it while it's on sale, slice it into smaller slices, and maybe cook 1 or 2 pieces at a time on top of the stove. Make a little gravy, a pan-fried gravy. Put it on top of toast, put it on top of potatoes, put it beside potatoes. Have it with rice, make it into a stir fry, add some peppers into it. Add a ton of peppers and different vegetables to it. And you've got 2 tiny little thin slices of meat, almost frozen when you slice it. It's so thin, it slices so well. And those 2 tiny little thin slices of meat will feed like so many meals on 1 roast. Unbelievable. If you're into pork, which is a cheaper meat, you could do that too. You have to watch the fat content, of course, but if you're not into watching the fat content, that's your business. You can do, again, curries, a roast. Add more potatoes to your meal. Add more vegetables to your meal. Add more of what you have. Add a biscuit, add bread, add a bun, add a carbohydrate to your meal, and you won't want as much meat. Have less meat, more vegetable will make you save a lot more money, especially in this economy. And there's so many tips and tricks. I don't have all the answers, but I'm definitely a pantry prepper, and so is my husband. We come from farms. We're farm kids. Our grandparents, our parents did this. We jarred everything, we grew everything, we bottled everything, we killed everything that was on our farm. Cows, chickens, chopped their heads off, plucked them all, and we would go to, you know, grandparents' places and be like, okay, they're doing ducks and geese. And we would help do that. What would we have that night? Duck and geese. Do I like it? No. But it's reasonable. And the thing is, if you get into a neighborhood where you have a little bit of land, I don't know your circumstance. I don't have any land here. There's nothing we can grow, not even a chicken. I mean, it's sad. You know, our council tells us everything we can and can't do here. But I'm just saying, you know, if you got along with your neighbors and they had a farm, you know, talk to them about, you know, you help them, they help you, and kind of get into that sort of community, or be able to trade back and forth. You have more of this, you've got more seeds, they've got more such and such, let's trade. There's all kinds of things you can use for trade, like alcohol, sugar, flour. It's a great one. Buy your flour when it's on sale. Watch the date. Freeze it. Put it into garbage bags. Seriously. Tie it up really tight and put the date on it and freeze it in a freezer. You will not have to worry about an expiration date. When you go to empty the content of flour, put it into a big storage bin, okay? And you don't have to label your storage bin. You know what's in there. But use it up. Froth it up and make your own stuff. And seriously, if you have these things handy, set yourself up for success. Jamie Oliver's cooking is something I'm really into. I love the way he's got the processor there, the cutting board, the knives. Let's go. the kettle on full whack, putting the stove on, getting the vegetables boiled right away, or whatever it is, your rice or whatever. And, more of what you can grow will save you that particular item of buying. And you can do it. It's a mindset. Train yourself to do it. Make lists. And I say that in my videos, I think probably a lot. I journalize. So in my journal, you'll see things I need to buy, things I need to do, things I need to make. And I have it all written down. So I can go back to it. It's right there. There's a tip of it. And yeah, I mean, I write down everything, like literally everything. So you can see a month ago what I was doing, what I was working on, and, different pantry prepping ideas and recipes. There's always recipe books around me, and it's very helpful. Maybe you don't have recipe books, but, if you can go on Marketplace, who knows how long we're going to have power or cell phones. I mean, the world's kind of a cuckoo place. This is a time to really learn and be independent as much as possible where you are. So I'm going to come back with another video on this. I'll talk to you in a little bit.